reason? Oh yeah, well, then the other girl says, yeah, every time the old man leaves, she goes across the hall.
Oh.
So
that's where that whole story comes into play.
Yeah. So anyway, Kathy tells me this, So I know I know with the way she put it, it was put like, every time the old man leaves, she goes across the hall. So
that's where that story came into play. Ah, okay.
And the baseball players, or not baseball.
It's a football player. Yeah.
A couple of them had an apartment there, I guess. Don't ask me who.
It was the Hamilton Ticats, right? You said.
Yeah.
Oh
so anyway, he married her. And then I guess he found out she was pregnant.
Well, he knew that. How long were they dating for before he got married?
You mean how?
How long was him and dating for before they got married?
I haven't got a clue. I just have he's so friggin' stupid, and sex wise, or not wise, but everything in his head was about sex. And so here she is, she's pregnant. So she's telling, oh, Rick, I'm pregnant. Okay. Well, we have to get married, like a quick wedding kind of thing. They got married. And she was born. Valentine
was born, yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's where that whole came in. Wow.
Well, he's dumb enough to think the kid was his, I'm sure.
Until you obviously mentioned stuff, I always thought so, right? Like, you wouldn't really know any better. Like, I don't really know any.
Well, everybody I know thinks the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They all think the same. But I said to Ricky, get your DNA. I want to find out how come you're so dark.
Little Ricky?
No, my son.
Oh, Rick, yeah. Why is that?
We don't know.
Why do why do you think that Rick's dark?
Well, the parents could have, at that point, could have had black blood in them. They could have had Jewish in them, any kind of blood in them other than white, before the DNA, and they're not. There's not. They're all white stuff.
So you're saying that you think like little Ricky?
My son Rick.
Your son Rick is dark.
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, he's dark-skinned. He's almost black.
Uncle Rick, when he's tanned, he is. When he's like normal, like when it's in winter, he doesn't really look like.
No, he's still dark, and he's got brown eyes.
Yeah.
And he's got pitch black hair.
Yeah.
And Rick and I don't have any of that.
You know what? You're right.
So.
But you know what? I think because some people that there is like a certain percentage of people that do have parents that have different type of eye colors, that their kids have brown eyes or have the opposite. There is a fraction, like a percentage.
I know that's what we were told.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got his DNA, there's nothing. There's no Indian. I thought there might be Indian in the family. There's no Indian, there's no black, and there's nothing like that. The only thing that the black skin comes in is that the parents, and this is you too, are part Portuguese. Okay? Did you know that?
No.
Okay.
Part Portuguese? Like what percentage though, Grandma?
I don't know. They just said so much. It's a low percentage, but it didn't say how much.
Huh.
And I was after Rick. Go find out how much Portuguese you got in. What the hell do I want to do that for?
Well, you know what? It's actually kind of interesting. You know what? Like,
get your DNA done.
What do you just got to do a swab, right?
Yeah, they send you a little box with the stuff in it, and you do it up your nose and send it back, and then they send you a thing about your family.
I should do that. This was gonna say stuff about my mom too. You know, probably say.
Hey, your mother, I've been after her. Persia.
Mhm.
Okay. How about son of Persia, or something like that? How do you know? How do you know you're not Arabic?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because you know what? It's all, you're right. It's all relative to history, right? So I'm not really sure how that would play in. I don't know.
How do you know some Arabic boat didn't show up?
Well, like give an example though. How is it? How true is it that when you give your DNA, how true is it to when they say like you're 97% blah blah? How would they know that? How is that determined?
By the DNA. The DNA is analyzed. The DNA is analyzed. And they were right about mine. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Except for one thing.
What was that?
3% for Swedish.
What? Your DNA is 3% Swedish. So then what was the rest of it,
From
Grandma?
Sweden. 58% English, Irish, Scotch, and Welsh.
Okay, so like we'll call that Great British, sure.
Okay, 15% German. 3% Swedish. And the rest was French.
Huh.
My great-grandmother was French. Her name was Lefebvre.
And you have all that right now.
Yeah,
The family tree stuff?
yeah.
I like to look at that.
I got
Interesting.
everything.
And then basically it's right up until you then.
Yeah.
So everything prior to that, you get to see there's names of like.
Relatives that I'm part of.
Actually. Huh. I gotta
And
check
you.
them. And me.
Yeah.
I'm on there too?
Hmm?
I'm on there too?
No, but you're part of me.
Yeah. So I get to actually see up until you then, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Holy Christ, that's actually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So where was your mom? Your mom, where was she born then?
She was born in Port McNicoll, Ontario.
So that's Ontario.
And her mother was an Atkinson. She was dark.
What was the first year that like your family side came over to Canada?
Okay, on my mother's side,
Yeah.
four generations
Ago.
And there was
So they've been over to Canada for quite a long time then.
yeah, they came over in the beginning of the 18th century. So, and the first grandmother, her last name was Preston. Then the second one, the grandmother's last name was Lefebvre. And the next one is Fox. So I'm related to the Fox. And then they think, Guy Fawkes that tried to blow up Parliament. Okay, he could possibly be an ancestor, part of me as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's the Foxes is a named descendant of ours as well.
Yeah.
And then basically from after Fox, then what?
Atkinson, and then my mother and father, and me. And on my father's side, it's a different story.
Grandma, what was your maiden name?
Osgood.
Osgood, that's right. Yeah.
My father's goes back to 16-something, and two brothers came over as indentured slaves.
Seriously?
Yeah, for 7 years. They worked on the farms and as a passage on the boat. The boat they got on the boat in England. They signed up to work for 7 years. And by the time they worked for 7 years, they had enough money to pay back the passage on the boat, you see. That's how it worked in those days.
You have to do labor in exchange. They'll pay your a fee on the boat, but you have to do labor in the meantime. And then once you're done paying off the fee, then you're good to go.
And you also
Wow.
get some money for because 7 years you're working.
Wow.
So imagine you get a wage, because they landed in Arnprior. No, not Arnprior. What's it? Oh, something like Arnprior in Massachusetts, and they had a farm there in 1600. And there was nothing there. Imagine, all Indians and stuff. There was nothing there, so they had all this land, and they had a farm, and the farm, the house and everything. They say the house is still there, but I don't believe it. But anyway, it's on the corner of, I forget the name of the street, but the Osgood Street. Okay, in the middle of Massachusetts. I went there.
So that was the first part of landing. Where they landed was in that Massachusetts area.
They went on a boat called John and Mary. Okay. After the Mayflower, it was a boat that took them across. And if they came up as to work, they probably didn't send for their wives right away, so their wives probably showed up later,
Oh my God! Yeah, you can think about that.
Anyway, and the first Postmaster General of the United States is Samuel Osgood.
First Postmaster General is Samuel Osgood, so that's a relative of ours. Gotta look up that position.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what else can I tell you that I can remember?
Grandma, that's actually incredible so far. I can't believe that. So the first basically people were in the 1600s, were more or less from your dad's side.
Yeah, John.
What
Thomas.
What about their war aspects? Like, what about our relatives in war?
I read a few things, like they Colonel Osgood I read a book called Montcalm and Wolfe, and in the book is Colonel Osgood.
In the actual book you read?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he's in the English Army from Massachusetts. That's when England was still part of the United States, because they were invading Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, and this. Okay, Wolfe must have gone up through Nova Scotia to get. How could he go up through Nova Scotia to get to the Plains of Abraham? Anyway, I can't remember that part. But anyway, and
where was the Plains of Abraham, Grandma?
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's on the St. Lawrence River between Montreal and Quebec City. It's a big hill.
Okay. So basically, aside from him, like, what other family members like participated in war?
I don't know. My dad was overseas for 4 years and 10 months, and it was an article in the that I got about him. They put him in the last part of the war in charge of mines. You know, like mine hills and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
From the enemy, and he lived.
He actually lived to tell about it. That's good. That's good, you know.
And anyway, he got a few medals. I don't know what happened to his medals. I haven't got a clue through the course of the years.
Isn't that crazy? We don't have any memorabilia or anything from that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nothing from that war stuff, eh? Nothing from our family.
I do. I got my dad's discharge papers. And the reason why I got them is because they're not on paper, they're on linen.
They didn't write them on paper. It was on
No,
linen.
and they got indelible pencil.
Can you actually still make it out what it says?
Yeah, it's with indelible pencil.
What is indelible pencil? What is that?
It's the lead that has something in it that makes the writing purple.
Okay. Wow. And you still have that, Grandma? Is it year dated and everything as well?
Yeah,
Seriously.
he was discharged in 1919.
It was from 1919. That thing's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Holy, I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's all in the great big bag I've got.
So basically, what other notes and stuff from your dad that you have? Anything?
Okay, I had my cousin in Rhode Island, who I've never met, sent me a lot of stuff. And one of the things she sent me, because...
How'd she get it?
Okay, her grandmother, it was my cousin.
Okay.
That's how she got it. And when her grandmother died, and in her room was all this Osgood stuff, and she's been sending me a little bit at a time. So one of the things she sent me recently is a picture of my grandfather when he was young, and he looks like Daryl.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah? You can make that resemblance, eh?
Yeah. He looks like Daryl. And my grandfather ended up being fat.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where Ryan gets it from.
Oh Christ. Ryan's doing pretty well right now. That's for sure, Grandma. He's doing pretty well. He's eating pretty good.
Anyway.
Yeah, he definitely likes his food.
Then she sent me a picture of my great-grandfather, Edmund.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi there, how are you?
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Did you want to take a in a chair, or are you okay where you are?
Do what I want to what?
Sit in a chair, or are you okay where you are?
I'm okay where I am right now.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well,
I
enjoy
did
your
want to sit in a chair, but it's a little bit too late now, so
Okay.
I don't want to. He's not going to be here that long, and we're talking.
Oh,
So,
well, enjoy him.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. She sent me a picture of my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother and all their kids. And I think they had 12 kids. And they're all lined up in a row. Okay, all dressed up in gray. God. In the 1880s. Okay. And at the end of them is my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandfather's sitting like this here. Okay. And he's got these spats on his shoes. And I thought, oh my, and he's got different clothes than the other group have. The other group have just suits. He's got this fancy jacket on. I thought, what a guy he must have been.
Yeah. That's it, looking all dolled up, eh? That's it. Spiffy.
Oh Lord, he was when my grandmother was there. She had this little skinny waist. Holy cats.
She was small?
No, she was tall. That's where
She was
everybody
tall?
gets tall from.
Yeah?
Yeah, she was nearly 6 feet tall.
Holy man.
Yeah, she was very tall.
Wow.
But she was Germany.
Who's the tallest one you think in our family, Grandma?
Daryl, probably.
Yeah, probably Daryl.
Or even Andy. I don't know how tall Andy is. But both of them are tall.
Yeah. I think you're a little bit taller than me, yeah, for sure.
Everything around here is late. They were supposed to give me a shower this morning. They didn't show up.
What? Grandma, do you want me to tell me you want to shower?
No, I don't want to shower now.
Why?
I got a good wash yesterday. I don't need a shower every day. So anyway,
Well, Grandma, do you feel better after a shower or what?
I'll get one tomorrow morning. I'm not into to get a shower.
Okay.
So
So basically, your grandma, she was tall, and then what about anyone else? Anyone else aside from that?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. My grandfather was a little bit on the tall side. Oh, the Osgoods are all tall.
Yeah.
My cousin Jim was 6'5".
Holy.
When he came to visit me, his head hit the ceiling
Yeah, that's a big boy.
downstairs in the rec room.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But he was gay.
He was. Yeah.
Don and
That's
I
okay.
went to see him in Chicago. He was an interpreter for the United Nations in New York.
Okay.
And he was a French interpreter of all things. I mean, how the hell did you ever get to be a French interpreter?
Sweet.
The reason why that he's close to me, and my cousin Dolores and Harlow, are because when we were kids, we spent the time on the farm in the States. In July. And my Uncle Henry and Aunt Minnie, it was an old-fashioned, we had no lights, just had the lamps. When he went to take the hay up, we would help. So, of course, we were great help. But, and then milking the cows.
That's you did too?
No, I never, the cow won't milk for strangers, you know that.
What's that?
Cow don't milk for strangers.
They don't?
No.
Come on.
They turn around and look at you and go, moo.
They don't milk for strangers, eh?
No.
I didn't know that. Okay.
They know they're giving the milk.
What happens if they, give an example, don't some of the milk farms, if they have them like faced forward, usually the people come up from behind and they still you know what I mean? They're able
They
to
put those machines on.
machines on them, yeah.
Yeah, when back in those days they milked by hand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that.
So.
Oh, Grandma.
And then they had to take the milk into the cheese factory, which was in the middle of nowhere, up in the hills in southern, right near the border of Pennsylvania. And so he would get up in the morning about 6 o'clock, and he only allowed one of us to go. So one of us would go with him to the cheese factory. They had this great big thing, like my hand, only big, going like this back and forth in the milk to make the cheeses, and the place stunk like hell.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine how bad it would smell. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Make butter too and stuff like that, eh?
But anyway, Uncle Henry had 2 beautiful horses. They were like sparkle gray, light gray and dark gray, sparkling. And they were Maud and Molly.
Maud and Molly, that was the names, yeah.
And when we got on the wagon to get the hay, he'd go, and they would go up, and they knew when to stop.
Yeah. Smart horses, eh?
Oh, Lord.
Do you remember what they ate? What do they eat? They just graze?
They ate hay.
Hay, yeah, hay and grass and stuff like that, eh?
He brought the hay and he had a machine, a fork thing, that he dug into the hay and then pulled it up and put it on top of the barn. Those were the good old days, I guess.
Grandma's before, basically anything was, you think about how much land and stuff you guys had for all those horses and stuff to go around, right? Now no one has land, right?
No one has what?
Land. No one has acres of land. No one.
That's another thing I'm going to tell you. In 1880 or more, when my great-grandmother and great-grandfather were probably in their 50s, they had a farm.
They did?
Yeah. And the farm was in Bradford, Pennsylvania, outside of Bradford, Pennsylvania. Okay. Surveyor goes in. They discover oil.
No.
Yeah. They discover oil. Back in those days in Pennsylvania and New York, they had these pumps along the highway. They would be pumping like this here. Because the oil,
yeah.
They didn't have these big things like
Yeah.
they had in the States, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they pumped oil out of the ground in that area. Whether they still do it or not,
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, they got oil out of the farm.
That make them rich? Probably.
Well, they had all those 12 kids.
So yeah, you know,
Charlotte, the daughter Charlotte, who I'm named after, ended up with a lot of money. And that's the one who traced the genealogy back. And it's a good thing that they didn't go into the city. All the pretty well stuck to villages, and went to the church, and the record was in the church record, and you know when you get baptized and everything, and the dates, and all this was traced back. And my grandfather's, I'm the 15th, I think, in line.
15th?
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay.
14th to 15th in line. And all my grandfather's wives are all listed. And then their children. Okay. And so I got a paper that tells you all these things. Like most of the grandparents are English or Irish or whatever, Scotch.
Okay.
Okay, you can tell by their last names. And also they're not French. There's no, as far as I know, the only French is on my mother's side. They're not French. None of them.
So the only French for us, Perron side, essentially, like through granddad.
Yeah, okay.
That's where that comes in.
On your Uncle Rick's DNA, they say the original French, and then they point to Windsor.
How does that make sense?
Because Windsor was a French fort.
Windsor was a French fort? It was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that,
In the
okay.
War of 1812.
Okay.
It was originally a French fort. And when the War of 1812 was finished, and the British took over, they changed it and named it Windsor. So there was a pile of French people. Where the fort is now, I don't know.
That makes sense, actually. That would make sense.
So I don't know where the fort is now. Across the lake would be Fort Detroit.
The Lake Michigan, wouldn't it be?
No, Lake Erie.
Lake Erie, yeah. I'm terrible with
Okay.
my geography there. Wow.
And so they put the little arrow over to that area, and your grandfather was born in Detroit. Okay. So,
Granddad was born in Detroit.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
he was born in Detroit
I don't remember that at all.
of Canadian parents. I guess back in those days the border didn't mean too much. You know, right up until the Second World War.
What year was Granddad born in?
1926, and I think your great grandfather probably worked at Ford in Detroit, probably,
Yeah, that makes sense. Probably.
and that's why he was born in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
He had to become a Canadian citizen once. He was in the Air Force and he had his discharge papers and everything. We used to go to the zoo a lot, over to Buffalo. We're coming back from the zoo, and this guy says, "Dude, your grandfather. Well, where are you born? He's, oh, I'm born in Detroit. He says, are you a Canadian citizen? He says, yeah. But he wasn't, according to this guy.
Yeah.
Because he had...
Would the dual citizenship basically didn't exist back then, or what?
Huh?
Did the dual citizenship exist back then, or what?
Well, my God, they pulled us over to one side, and the four kids and he had to go in and argue with him that he was in the Air Force in the Second World War, and so they let us go, but they gave him a certain length of time to become a Canadian. So he had to get papers like to prove that he'd never been in jail, like never done anything in jail, never done anything wrong, that he was a pure person to become all this stuff.
Oh yeah, he had to prove himself, right? Yeah.
And he became a Canadian. So
And Grandma, how did you and Granddad even meet?
he was my girlfriend Iris's boyfriend.
So you snaked him off your girlfriend Iris?
No, he showed up at the house. Back in those days, he was a lovey-dovey kind of character. He shows up and I'm trying to cut the grass. So, oh, let me see, I can cut. That's the only damn time he ever cut the grass in 50 years.
Only time he offered, he was trying to impress you over there.
Oh, God.
So basically, he was your girlfriend Iris.
And she's
boyfriend.
still alive.
She's still alive?
She's 93.
Oh my God, that's incredible, eh?
Yeah, she's still alive.
Good for her.
Now, where she is, I don't know. She used to be down on Fennel in an apartment with her daughter. But I don't know whether she's been put in a nursing home or whether she's still there or not.
Okay.
But
So then basically, what was the whole story? You basically cut the grass, and then what happened after that? Like,
well, we used to do a lot of dancing, and we went to the Rainbow Room on the Friday night with all the girls. Who shows up at him? You know, so that was the beginning.
Yeah. Is it the
So-
Rainbow Room?
Well, after that, he asked if he could come and see me, and I said, I guess. So anyway,
But wasn't he dating Iris though?
no, he wasn't at that time.
No.
They had quit.
Okay, that's good.
But Iris said to me after, she says, you know, I was so happy to get rid of him.
And meanwhile, you took it on, eh, Grandma? Oh, that's right. You know, the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 kids later.
Iris and I have been friends all our life.
That's crazy. Yeah.
We went to the Bahamas together.
Did you?
Yeah, with 2 other girls.
When was the first time that you went on vacation outside of Canada, Grandma? Do you remember that?
Outside of Canada?
Outside of Canada. First time you went away outside of Canada.
I don't know if I went to I went down the States.
Outside of North America. We'll call it that.
I think the Bahamas, probably.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever went. But I really hear this one, though. This is the funniest. Your Uncle Rick and Danica were there. It's a U-shaped hotel. Huge. And it's like about 7 stories. And we're at this end.
Okay.
And Rick and Danica are way over here. So anyway, we just get there. And we're all, having a drink or whatever. Iris goes out on the balcony, okay, and this guy's got a snorkels and snorkels on his head, and a mask or something or whatever, and she says, Romeo, phone for tell Romeo, and this guy says, here I am, Juliet. And Rick just about had a fit. He says, is that you, Mom? And I said, yeah.
That's good, Grandma. You remember that, eh? That's
I'll never
good.
forget that. And we laughed so hard at that. And as I said, Iris, don't invite him up for heaven's sake.
That's good.
She would have too, you know, if I hadn't a Sydney thing.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
would, come on up and have a beer.
Yeah, don't. That's it. I don't want to see him. That's funny. So that was the first time, was basically at Bahamas, eh?
Yeah,
Yep.
and that was another story, because those trips to the Bahamas.
What were planes and stuff like that? What were planes and stuff like that back then?
Where what?
Planes. What were they like?
They weren't too bad. It was a Northern Pacific we went on. But anyway, Tradewinds, the company that was sending us to the Bahamas, I think they were sending us down there to get rid of money.
Get rid of money? What do you
Yeah.
mean?
You know, like they were Arabs, eh?
Okay.
Like Arnie and them were Arabs that were running this building. Besides that, they were mafia. And they were friends of your grandfathers. So anyway, we got a real great flight for $219. That's airfare, rooms, and everything for a week.
Holy man.
So and so did John Turnbull and Angelo Yanelli, everybody in our Osgood business.
$219 for a week in
Yeah,
airfare. Oh
yeah.
my God. Wow.
So
Can't
I
beat that.
thought about it after. I said, how come we're getting it so friggin' cheap? And Rick said, don't ask questions.
Yeah, that's it. Worry about it later, right?
So I thought to myself, well, if they're exchanging money, not exchanging, but taking down hot money or whatever you call it, when they laundering
Money. Yeah.
If they're laundering money, because the one guy owned a big carpet company. I can't think of his name now. But he was all part of it, but he wasn't he was an Arab. He was Greek. He was a good friend of your father's, or grandfather's. So not your your uncle's.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of your uncle's, and so anyway,